Another one who does that, the Energizer Bunny, is Tucker Carlson, who keeps like, Tucker, you've gone from the weekend to the 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock in the matter of a week.
What's going on?
Congratulations.
I'm a journeyman anchor. I don't know. I'm sort of a hapless participant in all this, but thank you. Good morning.
So my email's blowing up yesterday. All my friends, we love Tucker. We're so excited for him. Please tell him we wish him the best.
Thank you, Ainsley. Everyone loves you, Ainsley. As you know, especially me.
Most of my friends have the opposite reaction. They were against this whole move. Steve, what about your friends?
I only saw the person who cut my hair, and she doesn't watch television.
But you did a great job.
But if she did, she'd be watching you, Tucker.
If she did.
Hey, Tucker, let's talk a little bit about this. The top U.S. intel chiefs up on Capitol Hill the day before the Congress certifies the election for Donald Trump with the Electoral College. Curious timing, but that's not the topic. They came in and they said, yes, absolutely, Russia did hack in. They were trying to influence our election. What do you make of the fact that it seems like the intel community has become more political over the last couple of weeks, couple of months?
That's for sure. I mean, look, nobody hacked into anything. Somebody out there convinced John Podesta's assistant to give up his email password, and mayhem ensued, and we got a lot of information we wouldn't have had otherwise. I don't think it's a good thing. I don't want my email broken into.
No.
But that's not the same as hacking the election. So nobody broke into the voting machines. And that's the implication of these charges. And it's wrong. And it destabilizes the country in that it undermines people's confidence in the election process. So that is bad. Look, two things are going on. We have been under assault from foreign countries, including some of our allies, for a long time. Not just our government secrets, but our industrial secrets. We've been spied upon for, since the existence of the Internet. And you haven't heard anything from the left or, frankly, the right about that until now, because this is a handy way for them to explain their unexpected loss in the election. But, I mean, I would love to have a serious conversation about the damage that has been done by Russia and China and North Korea and Iran and a bunch of other countries to our national interest by their cyber activities. But that's not what we're having. We're having instead a distraction from the real conversation.
And in the report, it dates back to 2008. That was submitted to the president yesterday, and that Donald Trump will get today. It's under 100 pages and over 50. It doesn't just talk about this election. It doesn't talk about Debbie Wasserman Schultz, although I can never get enough, or John Podesta. Here's James Clapper yesterday.
We cannot say they did not change any vote tallies or anything of that sort.
Yeah, I'm just talking.
We had no way of gauging the impact that certainly the intelligence community can't gauge the impact it had on choices the electorate made. There's no way for us to gauge that.
But we do know they celebrated, reportedly, according to NBC, who evidently got this story before the president-elect got the briefing. NBC got it. They celebrated after Donald Trump won. Can you make sense of that, Tucker? Why would Russia want Donald Trump to win if they were running roughshod over this president and the former Secretary of State?
I mean, I have no idea. Why would Putin be in favor of a guy who's pledging to rebuild the United States military and take a more assertive posture internationally? I mean, no one's ever explained why that would be the case. Look, as for the veracity of what the intel chief said yesterday, a lot of these people are really smart and I think decent and patriotic. I know a lot of them. I think they do good work. But the nature of intelligence is muddy. It's not always clear what things mean, and the nature is also deceptive. I mean, these are people who deal in deception for a living. So you're not always going to get an entirely straightforward, politics-free answer from these people. I'm not casting aspersions on anyone specifically, but let's be totally real. The idea that the rest of us have to sit back and accept uncritically any conclusion, subjective conclusion, that our, quote, intelligence community reaches is insane. And no one would ever ask the public to do that under other circumstances. Where were these people before 9/11 saying, you know what, the intel community suspects there are weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. Be quiet and accept that. I don't remember the Democrats saying that. No. So, I think we have a right, indeed an obligation, to say, well, what exactly does that mean? I'm not calling you a liar, but what exactly are you telling me? How did they hack this election? Why would Russia want to do that? These are legitimate questions.
Yeah, well, a question I want to know is, why did NBC, why are they getting top secret information before Donald Trump is getting the information? He tweeted out about that yesterday. He said in the tweet, how did NBC get an exclusive look into the top secret report he, Obama, was presented? Who gave them this report and why? politics, exclamation point. What's your reaction?
Well, by the way, NBC leaked that Access Hollywood tape to the Washington Post rather than run it itself. No one really ever followed up on that story.
Right.
And by the way, I'm all for more information coming out so I can assess the candidates based on facts. And that tape was factual, so okay, fine with me. But that is true. They leaked that to the Washington Post for political reasons. Why didn't they run it themselves, actually?
What are you saying?
I mean,
why would they do
clearly
that?
because they had a political interest. Because they didn't like Trump. Obviously, and neither did anyone else in the press.
Why wouldn't they run it themselves? Why would they release it to another?
It's a great question, and to my knowledge, no one has ever asked them directly. You had the tape. Why didn't you run it? And they did leak it to the Washington Post. That's true.
Hey, you know who paid the ultimate price? Billy Bush, for some reason, about a tape that was 10 years ago.
For some reason, exactly.
Sure. Now, earlier you were talking about how the left is just trying to delegitimize Donald Trump's presidency. There are some people in this country, Tucker, who just can't get their heads around the fact that Donald Trump is going to be the president for at least the next 4 years. And Bill O'Reilly had two fellas, Cornel West, the professor, and Carl Dix, the communist, on last night. And they had all sorts of interesting things to say. Watch this.
Stalin was a communist. What I'm doing right now is calling on people, because you're calling on people to do what? To come out into the streets, to manifest their anguish, fear, and outrage.
And what are they going to do in the streets? What do you want them to do in the street? What?
Protest. Nonviolent civil
Nonviolent?
disobedience.
Just with signs and stuff?
Church congregations to do vigils with candles in whatever
So that's what you both want. You want a mass.
And we're calling for that.
A mass display.
We want a moral, spiritual awakening that focuses on poor and working people, on women, on Mexicans, on Muslims, those who have been demeaned by Trump and others.
If that does not materialize
on undocumented immigrants, we will defend them. We will defend the women when it comes to closing down the place. We will defend those who are
okay. So you come on programs like this and you give your opinion. That's fine. But is there any other element?
But it's not just opinion, though. There are people suffering. Working people are suffering. Poor people are suffering. Women are suffering.
Yeah, but
black people are suffering.
Trump has promised to bring more jobs to alleviate
He's already betrayed working people by bringing in Wall Street and Goodman.
All right, but that's just
Tucker, they've got a Syrian indictment actually against Barack Obama, because look at all these people who are suffering after 8 years of his administration.
By the way, let me just say, you described Carl Dix as a communist. I don't know if our viewers understand you meant that literally, as in CP-USA, as defending the Soviet atrocities, as in literally a communist. So you'd think you sort of devalue your credibility by being a communist, but I guess not. Look, I'm for protest, and I think that, you don't have to like Trump, and you don't have to like any government policy, and you have a right to say that you don't like it. But it's helpful when you're specific about what you don't like. And what I've noticed in just covering this for the past year, most of the protests are along these lines. He's a bad person. He's a bigot. I don't like his soul. He's not going to heaven, and I'm protesting his badness. It might be more useful. When the March on Washington happened in 1963, there was a specific ask. We want the Civil Rights Act. We want a specific piece of legislation. That is not what you're hearing now. It's moral vanity. It's I'm a better person than Donald Trump.
They want chaos.
Yeah. Wait, and that's the other point. This is a chaotic moment already in the history of this nation and the history of the world. Do we need more? I don't think we do. We need answers, constructive solutions, not just yelling and overturning cars. Come on now.
Luckily, we're going to start getting it at 9 p.m. Eastern on the Fox News channel.
Brian wanted to know earlier, are you going to change your style?
Right.
Is it going to be a different show?
Can you use some of the same promo clips you used at 7? Can you use them at 9?
Oh, we're going to reduce, reuse, and recycle, because if nothing else, this is the green show. We waste nothing. We eat the whole buffalo on this show. So, yeah.
We eat the whole buffalo.
Same promo.
Yeah, but you only eat the
slogan. Tucker Carlson, we eat the whole buffalo.
Yeah, but he's leaving out the fact he'll eat the buffalo if it's wrapped in bacon. I've seen your act, pal.
Exactly.
Tucker, I just feel bad. You can't hold down a job. From the weekends it didn't work, 7 o'clock didn't work, 9 o'clock. Don't panic.
You should talk to my wife. What are you doing?
I know.
Exactly.
I know she's excited because you get to stay in Washington.
No, it's a huge move, well-deserved. Everyone's happy, especially Ainsley's friends. Thanks, Tucker.
I'm not. The only thing that I have a problem with is you're not here anymore. We miss you.
Okay. You are the best, Ainsley, as I always say, and I mean it sincerely. You're the best.
It's about you today, Tucker. We love you.
Excuse me, there's two other people on the couch.
That's okay.